This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.
We are back today with Dr. Souha Ezzedeen. She's the founder and head coach of Way of Life Dog Training from beautiful Toronto, Ontario. She joins us today to talk more about the work she does and how passionate she is. So dog lovers, listen up because I've learned a lot from her. So many people have. And the way she works is very unique. And she's helping pets and their owners worldwide with her services. How are you?
I'm doing great. Great to be here. Thanks for having me again, Jill.
Well, thank you. And would you mind just giving us a little overview about yourself and Way of Life Dog Training before we begin today, since I'm sure there's new time listeners here today joining us?
For sure. Absolutely. I'd be happy to. So, my name is Souha Ezzedeen. I'm the founder and head coach at Way of Life Dog Training and developer of the groundbreaking and life-changing Way of Life method. Also the author of the book by the same name, The Way of Life Method, How to Heal Your Relationship with Your Dog and Raise a Sound, Strong, and Spirited Companion at Any Age. We are not your average dog trainers, Jill. We are specialized in behavior issues, and we deal with those, unfortunately, increasingly frequent behavior issues in a very unique way by working with a dog's way of life holistically.
Oh my goodness. Well, thank you for being here, for joining us again.
Thank you.
We're excited that you're back. Unfortunately, I didn't get your notes yet. I'm sorry. Why don't you just tell us what today's show is going to be about, what we're focusing on?
Sounds good. No problem at all. They're on
Thank
their
you.
way to you as we speak, Jill.
Great.
So I thought that today we would talk a little bit more about the logic that is behind this method, about how we get our people, our clients, our
Okay.
students, the people that we're trying to help, about how we get them to think differently about dogs, about dog behavior issues, and the
Yep.
way out of these issues.
Ah,
So I will speak to you about two important things. The
great.
first one is the logic of the method. And the second thing is, what do we mean by way of life? What
Mm,
does a dog's way of life include?
yep.
What are the pillars? What are the aspects of a dog's way of life? And I think this will resonate with your
Yeah.
listeners, that they'll become aware of the reality that the decisions that we make on a day-to-day basis, they factor into a dog's
Yeah.
behavior. They're in many ways even more important than simply training the dog to do things, to sit, to lie down, to look up. These are important skills. But anyone
Mm-hmm.
struggling with behavior issues are struggling with an attitude in their dog, an attitude of fear, an attitude of reactivity, an attitude of lack of confidence in the world,
Yeah.
an attitude of feeling lost and disoriented.
Yeah.
And so that is what we target through our way of life approach.
Ah, wow. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. And you've been doing this for how many years?
So been in dogs 22 years, Jill,
Amazing.
and have been
Amazing.
training, I would say, intensively
Yep.
for over 15.
Wow.
And we have been in business officially for almost 6 years.
Amazing.
Thank you. Very
Wow.
proud to be here.
As
We've
you should.
accomplished so much. Thank
Ab-
you.
Thank you so much. And really, so we're going to do the second kind of part, right? As you say, mechanics of the way of life method. We're going to start with that today. And again, thank you. I did receive all your information. So
Good.
again, it's always good to hear, how you came to, what you did, a little backstory of your grandmother as inspiration, right? And
Yes,
we'll talk
absolutely.
about that. Thank you.
Sounds good. Let's talk about that quickly for sure. So my grandmother was definitely the inspiration behind a life shared with animals. Because as a young child, and I mentioned the story in the book, I would spend my summers with her.
Mm-hmm.
And my grandmother is actually not my biological grandmother, but my grandmother's sister, who had never married, but had devoted her life to service
Mm-hmm.
and community and
Yeah.
shared her life with animals. And
Yeah.
so I would spend these magical summers with her with dogs and cats and chickens. And
Mm-hmm.
she would take my little hand into her vegetable garden and she would show me how to scoop up little frogs off of the bean plants and hold them in my hand.
Yeah.
She had such a talent with animals that it stayed with me all these years.
Yeah.
Because for me to be able to share my life with animals, that didn't happen until much later when I was done with graduate school, when
Yeah.
I finished my
Yeah.
doctorate. Now, all I wanted at the time was to be a good dog parent and share my life with dogs, but becoming a trainer, that was inspired by my dog Maya. My dog Maya was not my first dog. I tell her origin story in my book. I tell her origin
Aw.
story on my website. She was not my first dog, but she was very challenging. And I was tested. I was tried. It was stressful. It was scary. I went looking for answers to deal with her reactivity and aggression to other dogs,
Yeah.
her restlessness, her anxiety, her
Ah.
clear unhappiness. She was clearly unsettled and unhappy, and I could feel that our bond was lacking in so many ways. And it took about 5 years before I came across a series of incredible teachers that worked out of the mainstream in many ways. And together, their teachings, their coaching, their mentoring, plus all of the experience that I went looking for as a
Mm-hmm.
volunteer dog walker, as a volunteer foster parent, as the owner of several dogs, including dogs with issues, Maya and beyond. And together, all of this education and experience crystallized, and I felt
Yeah.
called to start Way of Life dog training. And here we are today, having worked with hundreds of people, having helped hundreds of people, having made a difference in the lives of many, helping the industry shift slowly but surely away from the idea of training dogs to thinking about dogs' behavior more comprehensively and
Mm-hmm.
thinking about how to raise this animal who has become a bona fide member of our family.
Ah. And then
And so here we are today. And so I'm going to talk to you a little bit today about the mechanics behind this method, the
perfect.
logic
The
behind this
logic
method.
behind it.
Okay,
Thank you
good.
so much. I know you start off
So,
by saying that problem behaviors are not inherent in dogs, right? It's
correct.
about the dog's way of life. I'm really curious because I'm also relating my children to this as well. I believe in this method. So let's hear a little bit more about it. Thank
Well,
you.
people can certainly see not only their dogs in this method, but also their children, and also sometimes people that they work with, their students, if they're
Mm-hmm.
teachers. The method has ramifications, I would say,
Yes.
definitely. So, problem behaviors are not inherent in dogs. What does that mean? Again, the way we talk about behavior issues, we make it sound that the dog is inherently aggressive. The dog is
Okay.
inherently anxious. It's something in their personality, it's something in their character. You know, the way people describe their dogs, they say, she's anxious, she's chronically anxious. I guess that's
Mm-hmm.
just who she is, that's
Yeah.
just her personality. And what I'm saying is that behavior issues reflect a certain
Mm-hmm.
relationship. That is our worldview. Our worldview is a relationship worldview.
Yeah.
It is derived from attachment theory. And attachment theory argues that human behavior, and therefore by extension, animal behavior, is a consequence of the quality of our relationships. So if you
Yeah.
look at people around you, the happier people, the more adjusted people are people in healthy relationships with the important people in their life,
Yeah.
whether it's friends, family, significant others, and so on. Same with the dogs. The dogs are social creatures, relational creatures, which means that their behavior will be a function of the quality of their relationships.
Got it.
Okay?
Yep.
Good. And so the next logical question becomes, and we're talking about the logic of the method, so the next logical question becomes, if I want my dog well behaved and I understand that I need to have a good relationship with my dog, how do I achieve that good relationship? How do I make it happen?
Yeah.
And so people have different ideas about that. That if my dog sleeps in bed with me, we have a great relationship. If they're allowed on
Uh-huh.
the couch, we have a great relationship. If I'm very affectionate with them, we must have a great relationship. If I use positive reinforcement methods, therefore we must have a great relationship. And I'm saying that we need to go beyond all of that and look at way of life as the conduit to relationship. How do I create a great relationship with my dog that produces great behavior? By my way of life being designed in a certain conscious
Yep.
way that I detail in the book.
Got
Okay,
it. Mm-hmm.
good. The next idea, Jill, is that if we're talking about way of life, then we're
Okay.
talking about a lot more than just training. We're talking now about raising a dog. A dog's way of life is simply how is this dog raised? Okay. And so we aim to raise our dogs to develop a certain character and personality. So you're talking about your children. Yes, it's important for you that your children do well at school, that they understand math and history and so on. But I think for any parent, what's most important is that they raise good kids, that they become good adults, that they become good people. So that means we're talking about raising our kids and therefore our dogs to
Yep.
have certain character, to have a
Yes.
certain personality and attitude in the world.
Yep.
And what are the traits that we aim to instill in our dogs? We want them sound, we want them strong, we want them spirited. And
Yep.
those are the title of my book. How to heal your relationship with your dog and raise a sound, strong, and spirited companion at any age. So let me take a moment to explain what do I mean by
Sure.
sound,
Yep.
what do I mean by strong, and what do I mean by
Mm-hmm.
spirited? Because anything that we want our dogs to be, we want them obedient. Do we want them
Uh,
social? Do we want them polite with our guests? Anything that we want in our dogs requires that we have a foundation of dogs that are sound, strong,
yeah.
and spirited. Sound means balanced, steady, thoughtful, calm, by definition, non reactive. Strong means that they're able to deal with the craziness of life with humans in the 21st century, in particular in busy cosmopolitan environments, which is where
Yeah.
most dogs live. Many dogs, of course, live in rural areas. Doesn't mean they don't have stresses, but our lives are busy. Our lives are unpredictable. Our lives are challenging. And so a strong dog has the resilience to deal with that.
Mm-hmm.
Strength means that if I adopted my dog from a shelter and they encounter trauma and they're a trauma survivor, strength means they have the resilience to recover. Strength means if I've got to be gone several hours at work, my dogs can handle it within reason, of course. Because I'll tell you right now, I'm fostering a dog. Poor boy. He was left at home 12-hour days every day. That is not a life for a dog. So, but you know what I mean. If we have to work exceptionally long hours at any given day or any given period of time, that the dogs have the strength and capacity to handle that.
Yeah.
Spirited means they're joyful, they're happy, they're not afraid to be who they are, they're excited about life. So, those are the three things that I'm after: sound, strong, and spirited. And those traits cannot be trained into a dog through training mechanics. I
Mm-hmm.
say a word, you deliver a behavior, I give you a treat. Soundness, strength, and spiritedness cannot be created like that. They can only be instilled into the dog by how that dog is raised,
Yep.
by that dog's way of life, in other words. Okay,
Yep.
good. The next idea is that if we're talking about raising dogs, Jill, then we're talking about stages of development. So you as a parent, and how old are your kids, Jill?
10 and 8.
10 and 8. So you know that when they were very young, you handled them a certain way. And now at this age, you're handling them a little bit differently. Once they enter their teens and they start to want to become their own people and take on more responsibility and enjoy greater freedom, you're going to have to deal with them a different way. And then when they become adults and young adults, your relationship will also have a different dynamic. So that is also how we approach the raising of our dogs. We raise them through stages, from puppyhood to adulthood. But here's the thing.
Yeah.
Even if a dog is an adult and they come to us with, let's say, reactivity or aggression or separation anxiety or whatever it is, and let's say they're 6 years old, one of the powerful things about the method is that we reset the relationship and
Yeah.
we reset the dog by going back to foundations and treating that dog that age-wise might be an adult, but mentally we go back to treating them as if they are a pup.
Uh,
And so that gives the relationship a very powerful reset. Because here's the thing, Jill, if you're raising a puppy from scratch, okay, it makes sense that you would get started with this puppy as a puppy. But if you just adopted an older dog from a shelter and that dog survived trauma,
yeah.
has been bounced around, has not had the easiest life, and now they're new in your home, they're new in their relationship with you, then by definition, they are a quote unquote pup in their life with you. They are a quote unquote pup in their relationship with you. And
Yeah.
so that is where we would start at the puppy stage, or what I call in the method, stage one foundations. If you've been living with this dog for many years and that dog has got this issue and that issue, they're
Yeah.
anxious, they're reactive, then by definition, also we need to get started from puppyhood. Why? Because behavior issues impede healthy development. A dog that has been, living with chronic anxiety for several years, they're not a dog that you can start training. They're a dog that needs to be reset, taken back to that puppy stage, given a good reboot so that they can decompress, mature, settle,
Mm-hmm.
become clear headed, and therefore become a candidate for training, which I don't do formally until stage two
Ah,
exposure,
yeah.
which is the stage of adolescence, a stage of learning, of expanded socialization and exposure. And then once our dogs have learned things, have been exposed to things successfully at stage two, that is where stage three kicks in, stage three being adulthood.
Yeah.
So it's a very simple developmental methodology. From stage one, puppyhood, stage two is the exposure stage,
Okay.
adolescence. Stage three is adulthood,
Okay.
where our dogs can now be fully integrated into our home.
Yeah.
So at stage three is when I can have my dog being off leash, for example. Stage three is when I can have my dog loose around the house when people come in
Mm-hmm.
to visit. Stage three is when I can have my dog meet other dogs without extended introductions.
Yeah.
So stage one is foundations. Stage two is exposure. Stage three is integration. And the whole method is essentially how the way of life changes across those three stages.
Got it. Okay.
Good.
Got it. And
Perfect.
by the way, if you are just tuning in, just want to remind you, of course, who we're talking to. Way of Life Dog Training. Again, we're here with our founder and coach, Dr. Suha Ezzedeen, joining us here live today and really breaking down, such important ways of her training approach, which obviously is very unique. It's the mechanics of the Way of Life method that she's been talking about and will continue to do so. Go ahead.
Exactly. Thank you very much, Jill. And so the last element, the last idea in this way of life logic is okay, so what does way of life mean? How do I go from this abstract concept of way of life and give it more practicality, make it more concrete? Way
Mm-hmm.
of life includes four elements. One element is psychological, and the three other elements are very practical. So let's start with the practical elements.
Mm-hmm.
Element number one is what I call space and boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, does the dog have the run of the house?
Yeah.
Is the dog allowed on the beds, on the furniture,
Mm-hmm.
or are there some spaces and boundaries and limitations?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Are they at the door? Are they barking at windows?
Yep.
Do they get to go anywhere around the house anytime they want?
Yep.
Those are space and boundaries issues.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the first practical element of the way of life method is space and boundaries. The other element is about socialization. And I think I might have mentioned this when we first spoke, you and I, Jill, is this
Yep.
idea that trainers tell you socialization is important, veterinarians tell you, people in the culture, experts in the media, professional dog trainers, they will all say that socialization is so important. You got to socialize your dog. You bring a new dog home or you bring a new puppy home, you got to socialize your dog and so on. But here's the thing. Does anyone ever tell us what that means?
Mm-mm.
What that actually looks like?
Mm-mm.
Practically, what does it mean to socialize? And so, in the Way of Life method, we have a very clear definition of what it is, and we have a gradual methodology on how to socialize dogs, progressing across 6 levels of socialization, which I detail in the book. And so, for anyone dealing with behavior issues, anyone with a new puppy, anyone with a dog they just adopted, they would have to be cautious and careful and deliberate in how to socialize their dog. And I explain in the book the way that they would do that. And a lot of our coaching actually involves helping people socialize their dogs properly and gradually, regardless of whether they have a puppy, like I said, or an adult that they've just acquired, or a dog that they've lived with for a long time. Okay. So socialization is the second practical element. The third element that is practical is what I call drive development or drive building. All dogs have drives. Drives are motivations. Motivation for food is a drive. The desire to, work for treats is a drive.
Okay.
The desire to
Okay.
chase after things, chase after the cat, chase after squirrels, chase after bunnies. That is what we call prey drive. And dogs have greater or lesser extents of that prey drive.
Yep.
Pack
Wow.
drive is another drive, the desire to protect and belong and bond with humans. And then the higher order drive is a defensive drive, the desire to protect and guard and defend
Mm-hmm.
things and people that are valuable. And so a big part of our mission as well is
Yeah.
to help people harness these drives in their dogs,
Yeah.
give them healthy outlets. So a dog with a lot of prey drive be given outlets for that prey drive so that they're not chasing after your kids or bunnies or cats, so that they're not taking off after squirrels, that fire that they have, that innate
Aw.
tendency for
Beautiful.
for prey drive is nurtured appropriately. So that is the third practical element.
Yeah.
And then the fourth and final element of the method, which, like I said, is the psychological aspect, has to do with the individual owners and families, their mindset about dogs, how they view their dogs, how they see them. That is almost as important, if not more important than the other elements that I mentioned. So it involves things like, how do we see this dog? Do we see this
Yeah.
dog as, you know, a dog with natural inherited tendencies? Or do we see this dog as our fur baby?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and nothing wrong with having deep feelings towards our dogs and caring about them
Mm-hmm.
deeply. But sometimes these feelings can be counterproductive and
Yeah.
result in dogs being coddled, dogs being pampered, dogs being spoiled, which is not in the best interest of the dog. I can see how it could make us feel good to lavish all this love on our dogs, but how it can also end up creating problems for us. And so when we work with people, Jill, we do what I call a way of life audit. And we have a conversation, a frank, candid, supportive, non-judgmental conversation about these
Yeah.
four elements, about attitude and mindset,
Yeah.
space and boundaries, socialization, and drive development. And we help people bring these in line in accordance with the stage of their relationship. So the method essentially is how these elements vary across the three stages. Four pillars, three stages, and how they change over time.
Beautiful. Wow.
That's it. That's the method in a nutshell.
In a nutshell, but there's still so much more. But these are great. I mean, what a great way to start. I learned so much from this, and I know everyone, I'm sure, has. And if we want more information to reach out to you about the program and how we could, help, how does this work?
Very good. So I encourage people to find out more about us by grabbing a copy of my book, The Way of Life Method, available anywhere you buy your books online. Amazon, Barnes & Noble, also independent retailers. And also to go onto our website, read more about us, read the blog, follow us on social. We're on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. And reach out to us via email if the method resonates and you're interested in getting our help in coaching you and training you and applying it. We recently launched the Way of Life Method Online Academy, and we've been helping people all over. You do not need to live in the Greater Toronto Area to get access to our help, because the method, by definition, lends itself to helping people near and far. And the Online Academy is the platform where we do that. Thanks so much, Jill.
Thank you so much. To all of our listeners and viewers, stay tuned. We'll be right back with more. Thanks again.
This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.